Hi, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and this is the first in a series of videos that I've started to do where patrons ask me questions and I answer them. I expected this to sort of be based on Lightbath's Patreon sort of mentorship program that he does where he answers like technical questions about making music and stuff like that. But I got a variety of questions, and that's cool. So I'm going to split this up into a few different videos where this will be the casual Q&A, and then the other videos will focus in on some of the more technical music-related questions that I'll get through in a bit. So yeah, if you don't want to just sort of hang out and hear me talk about myself, then go ahead and skip this video. I won't blame you. It's fine. You probably have better things to do. I know you have better things to do. The first question is from Michael Squilla. He asks, "Hey Jeremy, you have a great ear for melody. Thank you. I'm wondering if you have a set of processes or rules to compose your melodies, particularly if you're feeling stuck. I guess this could extend to your whole compositional process as well, but I figure focusing on melody would be a good starting point." Michael, you are absolutely correct. Focusing on melody would be great. This is something I want to dedicate a whole video to. I've been thinking about it a ton, and I think I have something to say on it, so I will record that video and release it separately. Wavs, or Waves, asks, "How did you get into music? Was it always electronic? Love your music and videos, la la la." Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I got into music at a pretty young age, probably middle school, playing the flute, and I got really decent at it for my age bracket. Did a lot of like youth symphony and stuff like that, contests, recitals, and then I think senior year of high school, I discovered tracking software through a random media class that I had, and really fell in love with making electronic music. I had been playing the upright piano my parents had and was learning keyboard sort of on my own through playing along with other people's songs. So at that point I sort of had this foundation to move into trying to compose music on the computer. Went to college for music performance to play the flute. Did not do well, dropped out my first year, but during that whole period of time I was working on learning more skills with making electronic music. Took a couple years off, went back to school for audio production at the Art Institute of Seattle, which is no longer with us. Learned a decent amount of stuff, but at that point I had already actually learned a lot and probably didn't need to go there, but it was good to have that feather in my cap, that little associate's degree. And then I just kept on going, trying to learn and try out new things, and that's basically the trajectory of everything. Just fell in love with it and wanted to learn as much about it as possible. Kier asks, "What are you listening to lately?" Would it surprise you that I don't actually listen to a lot of music? I don't. My brain is always so full of noise, and my job usually involves me wearing headphones and having to listen to things because I edit video. So when I have a moment to not do that, I'm usually looking for a bit of silence and peace. So I don't really listen to a ton of music. But that said, let's take a look at my Google Play recents and see what I've been digging. Looks like I've been spending a lot of time with the new Anderson .Paak album, Ventura. It's an amazing collection of really soulful, funky songs from an absolute beast of a musician with both an amazing singing voice and an amazing rapping voice. It's funny when I listen to him because I always think of like Andrew Huang, like just this like musical polymath that can do anything. Really talented, amazing album, and I don't think he's written a bad song, so all of his old stuff is worth getting into. Also spent a bunch of time with the most recent Die Stadt album, Bubblegum. It's not my favorite album from them, but there's some really good stuff on it, and I always love what they try to do and push the envelope. Lewis Cole's Time is a masterpiece as well. A lot of the songs he had already released on his YouTube, but those are fantastic, and the new ones are also really good. He's able to move from like this crazy-ass virtuosic electro-funk stuff that's really off-kilter and left of field to these amazingly beautiful and like really personal things, and I just love him to death. He's a fucking treasure. Gito asks, "How do you work vocals into a song? I'm having a really hard time finding room for them in anything I make." I mean, technically this could be a video unto itself, but I think the real thing about it is you probably need to think about the vocals as soon as possible. So what I do when I'm writing a song that needs vocals is, as soon as I've decided it needs vocals, I either try to pick an instrument that most closely resembles the sonic timbre of my voice, and I write the melody in with that instrument, so it's there, and I know that I'm going to make more space around it for the arrangement. The other thing that I do, and I know Andrew Huang does this too, and this is what I do more often, is I'll just grab whatever crappy mic I have around, hooked into the system, whatever I can get my vocals into, and I'll record nonsense vocals with the melody. So basically, you just sort of sing random syllables that feel good. Like, it doesn't have to rhyme, doesn't have to be real words. But the point is that you're getting the feel of the vocals into your track ASAP so that you can work around them. And then when you have your arrangement and you feel like you're ready for real vocals, you go back and you can use the individual sort of like standout syllables that kind of feel really good to write more lyrics around. So by starting off just sort of like really free and natural and nonsensy, you free yourself to be able to get the melody in and give yourself that bed of vocal so that you know that it's going to be there. And then when you go back to it, you have these like little touchstones of things that were easy and natural to come out of your mouth, and you can use those to write the melody, maybe refine the melody and write the rest of the lyrics around that. It's worked for me every single time I've tried it, and I don't know, maybe give it a try early on, record those nonsense vocals in there with the melody that you have in your head, and then try to build around it later. Jero asks, how much time do you spend on your music, roughly, of course, and how much do you manage your time? Well, I basically am able to record these videos on Sunday. It's Sunday right now.
In Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday.
And that's about it. If I'm recording little vignettes of an instrument that I'm playing with, like I did with the Mood video recently, or the OPZ diary, I'm coming home and I'm doing my chores, walking the dog, having dinner, watching a little bit of TV. At that point, it's usually around 8 o'clock or 7:30 if I'm lucky. I go to bed at 10, so I've got about 2 hours to try and do something in that time. Those Monday through Friday kind of things, or Monday through Thursday, because I usually probably don't work on Friday evenings, are spent, filming like things that are really low key, or maybe mastering something, something that I can do without overextending myself in that period of time. When I was writing the YouTube library stuff, I was composing, in that period of time, and it was great. Like, that kind of stuff just sort of like becomes more and more natural to work on, knowing that I have the freedom of doing kind of whatever I want. In terms of managing time, I, have the hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe a night, but it's not really super focused time. It's more like relaxed time. And then Saturday is chore day. Sometimes I can get a couple things done if I'm lucky and get my chores done on time. And then Sunday is work day. I have to divide, and when I say work day, I mean, YouTube day or music day or creative day. I divide my time between filming these videos and maybe trying to make music. And I still have stuff I had to do on Sunday too, like go grocery shopping. So I've resigned myself to this schedule of really only having a certain limited amount of time, and I do my best to make it count. It just is what it is. And I used to stress about it a ton, but now I realize that it's better to focus on the time that you have than stress about the time that you don't. And if you can find a way to just kind of like relax and make use of that small amount of time, then you're going to be much better off than like worrying all the time that you don't have time to do something. I hope that answers your question. 7177 asks, do you continue where you left off or start with a clean slate at the beginning of a session, and why? I mean, when I'm writing a new track, I'm always starting from scratch. With the YouTube stuff, I had a template that I was working from that involved a bunch of the Complete Control Ableton instrument racks, so I had that just ready for me, a couple of channels of battery. So that was my sort of like template, but there was nothing like written in there. They don't have effects on anything like that. I just start with the blank default Ableton template. If I've worked on like a loop or something like that doesn't have like a direct purpose, like if I'm just messing around, I will always hang on to it. A lot of the stuff that I've released on my previous albums, some of those tracks have been sitting around for years, and I just finally went and looked through my various folders and was like, okay, well, this is something that still interests me. I'm going to finish this. And the cool thing about that is that you get to combine what you were then musically with what you are now musically, and all the techniques that you may have been really into then with all the techniques and spirit that you have now. And that combination of things is really, really cool. So I believe in not throwing anything away unless maybe you've opened it like 2 or 3 times and you're like, this is just trash. But I always hang on to things for a really long time, and we'll go back and check on them now and then to see if there's something worth doing with them. Another question from 7177 that I think I'm going to dedicate a whole video to is, how would you approach a live set performance? What do you give yourself to do? What would you prepare in advance? And how would you go about structuring distinct parts, drops, breakdowns, or slowly evolving sausage? Well, you know me. I'm all for the slowly evolving sausage. This warrants its own video. I think I at least have like 5 to 10 minutes of content to talk about this because I've done a bunch of different like incarnations of live sets, and each one has been slightly different. So I'll probably do a video talking about that with Ableton, how I did it, with the Digiboxes, with the OPZ, and yeah, it's pretty simple, but worth talking about. So that's all the questions for this round. Thank you all for contributing. Thank you for being patrons. If you're here and you want to contribute questions to this thing, you can, join my Patreon at the appropriate level and join the conversation. Thank you all so much. I'm happy that you're here. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.